Well, good evening. This is Houndog Steve coming to you on the 24th of May, which is a Thursday evening. And as you can see, I am in my Democracy Now! T-shirt. And this says C4DD, which is Citizens for Direct Democracy. And this says, your vote always counts. And it is absolutely official. Here is my election binder. I'm running in a municipal election in Ward 3, 2018, City of Kawartha Lakes. And of course you can see this is quite a big binder of things that you have to learn or know about when you want to run in a local election. And I am really excited. I learned an awful lot of things when I ran in the election 4 years ago, and I would encourage anyone and everyone to do something like this in your life. Put your name forward for office and speak up about what you believe in. And I've come to realize over the years, you know, I'm 64 right now, I'll be 65 this year, and it's not until you get to this age that you have seen enough things go through, or not go through, as the case may be, to understand some of the workings. You know, when I was a younger man, I thought I knew a lot. And maybe I had a lot of book learning or this kind of stuff, but there is nothing replaces experience. And so when you are a little older, don't be put off about running for office. This is a great way to meet your community, to connect with your neighbors. And at the end of the day, it's us, it's the people who are going to change the situation, our circumstances. It is not the government. And the government works on the basis that if you do not speak up, if you do not oppose something, they assume that you are in complete 100% agreement with the job they're doing and what they are doing. Okay, so it's a kind of a funny thing. If you say nothing, you've agreed, you voted yes for all of these things. And of course I know that not everyone agrees, because I hear the complaints and moans and grumbles all the time about federal, provincial and municipal politicians. Now, I know a lot of people out there, as soon as you hear the word direct democracy, it's like, oh my God, that'll never work, you know, there is the tyranny of the majority and so on and so forth. Well, it does work in Switzerland. And they have been operating under this system since 1846, although it does go back a long, long way before that, to the Greek agoras, the marketplace, and so on and so forth. And whilst I believe that it would be difficult to run direct democracy efficiently at the federal and provincial level, it is certainly very, very workable at the municipal level, because you're dealing with a lot smaller number of people. You are dealing with a situation where you can get a lot more information out a lot more quickly through local newspapers, through publications, through service centres, through websites, through mail drops, this kind of stuff. So if people don't understand what they're voting on, the effect it's going to have on their lives, and the potential decisions that could be made to resolve, and an opportunity, of course, for them to put in their opinions and ideas. So we're talking about the wisdom of crowds, and there is actually a book called The Wisdom of Crowds. And here we are, The Wisdom of Crowds, Why the Many Are Smarter Than the Few. If one asks a large enough number of people to guess the number of jelly beans in a jar, the average answer is likely to be very close to the correct number. True, occasionally someone may guess closer to the true number, but as you repeat the experiment, the same person is never better every time. The crowd is smarter than any individual. This finding is counterintuitive. Collective wisdom is put to good use to tackle three kinds of problems, and complexity is no bar. Cognition problems. Such problems arise when we can only guess the answer, as e.g. about the contents of the jelly bean jar or about the future. How do we get the guess right? Coordination problems. How do we coordinate behaviour with each other, say in traffic, knowing that everyone else is trying to do the same? Cooperation problems. How do we get self-interested, distrustful people to work together, even when narrow self-interest would seem to dictate that no individual should take part, as in politics? Behavioural economists and sociologists have gone beyond the anecdotic and systematically studied the issues and have come up with some surprising answers. And it's written by a chap called James Surowiecki. So the wisdom of crowds, or the wisdom of the residents of a municipality, is an important factor not to be ruled out in the governance of the people, because we are the government. We are the reason for government. And so why shouldn't at least a large part of our governance fall into the public hands so that we decide how we want things to run? So we believe at Citizens for Direct Democracy that it is a mistake to underestimate the wisdom of the crowd. And now I'm not talking about day-to-day decisions about how many paper clips or pens or how many sheets of paper we need to use or so on and so forth. No, of course that's going to be decided by the staff of the city. But certainly, bigger questions. So the sort of things I could see referendums happening for would be, recently in Kawartha Lakes we reduced the wards from 16 to 8. That should have been a referendum. The amalgamation of the municipality should have been a referendum. And actually, we did have a referendum, but the government refused to recognise, so it wasn't a binding referendum. The services that we receive in this area, such as arenas, public libraries, community centres, now you could have a small referendum in that community, so the entire community is contacted about how they feel about closing down an arena in their village, or more importantly a fire hall. And that's what's been going on in the city of Kawartha Lakes. We've been losing some of these important community service buildings in the outlying areas, and really there was very little. There was some public input, I won't say there was none, but it was very limited, and the information around the public meetings was also very limited, and most of them were held during the daytime. There was a couple held in the evening, but most of them were held at City Hall during the daytime. This just makes it more difficult for the public to participate, and we were talking tonight actually about even the voting, where this year we're going to electronic voting. People can vote online or on the phone, but there was one thing about the paper ballot, was it connected you to the process of voting and being a part of your community. Voting online or voting on the phone kind of distances you from your community. It makes you more isolated, because you're not talking to your neighbours about this. One of the funniest things about voting is actually standing in line waiting to vote, and the conversations that you have with your neighbours and your communities that they may never talk about outside of that setting. Okay, so these are conversations that you might never have about what your neighbours really believe in, what they think should happen, and that is a very important part of community building. So anyways, I think that we should take into account the wisdom of crowds and include the public in the whole process of government, because the government is not just the councillors that sit in those chairs in council chambers. The government is every single one of us. And the things that we have in our society today that we enjoy is because that people like you and I stood up and spoke out and said, no, this is what we want to see happen. So please take the time to run for office if you're in a position to do so, and if not, encourage and support any friend or neighbour who wants to take on that challenge. And so in the meantime, it means this summer is going to be a crazy summer with not a whole heck of a lot of time to spare for anything else. And I am looking forward to that. I am going to take on this challenge with both hands and do the best job I can to get myself elected as a representative for Ward 3. And so the door knocking shall begin now that the nomination process is over with, and I'm officially in the race. So if anybody can help out with my campaign expenses, I would greatly appreciate that. And down below in the show notes there is a PayPal link, and you can donate through there. That really would be much appreciated. And I'm also going to leave a link to our Citizens for Direct Democracy website, so you can actually go and take a look at what we're all about, the things that have been happening in the municipality. Definitely look at the letters to editor section, and yeah, it's going to get you up to speed about what we're about, what direct democracy is all about, and how you can do the same thing in your community, in your municipality. So this is Houndog Steve signing off. Please, if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Click that big red button, it really helps when you do. And so you take care now, and we will talk to you real soon. See ya. Bye.